Hey everybody, thanks for taking the time today to stop by and visit this course. My hope for you, at least in this free course, is to give you a solid understanding of citizen developers, low code, no code, and kind of what it means to you, as well as what it means in general. The goal here is to have you survive on a There's lots of platforms that are promoting low code, no code. It's a huge buzzword, as well as the term citizen developer. And my goal, again, is to try to demystify and to educate. And so to begin with that, I want to start with a couple of slides, and let's get into this right now. So you may be asking, what exactly is a citizen developer? Well, a citizen developer is essentially somebody who has a set of characteristics or traits. And these characteristics or traits are very common amongst groups of people in the business. And so typically these are the people that, they're in the trench of a business problem, or they know a particular business process, but they know it really well, right? Because they're essentially serving a day in the life of the problem that they're trying to solve for the business. And as a result, nobody knows it better than them. Therefore, the idea is, who better than to write or create a solution than the person that, knows exactly what needs to be done, as opposed to writing a huge set of requirements, meeting with maybe the IT director and or the director of development, and then the team has to be put together, and then you're waiting 6 months, 3 months, a year or more just to get a solution to the problem that you're trying to solve today. Meanwhile, by the time they get started on the development of whatever it is that you need, you've changed your business requirements 16 different times because you're trying to be agile and adjust with the business. So this is where these low-code, no-code platforms have really, really come to save a lot of the businesses, especially today with after the coronavirus and everybody got stuck home. They needed to have new tools, and they needed new tools now. They didn't have time for developers to deal with this. So the problem, though, is that the low-code, no-code, citizen developer, they're business people. They're not developers or programmers. However, they do share the attributes of, and I'm going to go ahead and read here from my bullets, a person who essentially has a curiosity, embraces technology as a whole. And in addition to that, if you start thinking about these people in your workplace, they're power users. They're typically good at a piece of software or one or more pieces of software. The software that is probably the best skill to have is going to be somebody who's really good with spreadsheets, specifically Excel and or Google Sheets, and they use the little formulas to calculate different things, Power BI, pivot tables, things of that nature. They really enjoy, or they thrive in making informed decisions that are data driven, essentially. And so I'm just looking over again at my bullet list to make sure that I got everything here. But in any event, as you could understand, you probably are thinking that, hey, that's me. And if so, then this course is definitely for you, because what I want to do is kind of share with you what platforms are out there and available. And then specifically, I want to give you the prerequisite tools, because you're not a developer. But just because it's low code, no code, don't get sucked into thinking that you don't need to have some sense of intelligence or a little bit of understanding about what goes on in the background of, essentially being a developer. So you're going to be a hybrid developer, essentially. You're going to continue to do your business role, but you're going to increase your skill, or you're going to skill up a little bit. And throughout the rest of this course, we're going to get into each and every little one of the areas, and I don't care what low-code, no-code platform you go to. By the end of this course, you're going to have such a solid understanding. You'll be able to pull off pretty much any low-code, no-code platform. And in addition to that, you may even find yourself with a new skill that you want to increase even further and get into actual and or real development. So without further ado, let's start looking at some of these code platforms. So the first one I want to focus on is the no-code, low-code platform, generically speaking, right? So this would be Microsoft Power Platform. You may have heard of Power Apps, Power Automate, Power BI, Canvas apps, model-driven apps. This is all part of the Microsoft Power Platform, something that I know extremely well. But before that, I knew Salesforce. I knew Salesforce pretty well. And essentially, it's a CRM system, but it allows you to create additional models or objects as it relates to your business. And you can take a CRM up to the next level by kind of fleshing out all of these different modules or extensions of essentially what a CRM would be to track whatever you needed to do to solve that business problem. There's a handful of others out there: Mendix, Appian, BettyBlocks, QuickBase, Ketone. Okay, these are just a few of them. And again, these are just some. There's so many out there. It's dizzying now to see, what's out there, what's up and coming. So take this list with a grain of salt. These are some of the well-known and good ones, but obviously I missed many as well. So in addition to that, now let's flip over. This is still considered low code, no code, but this has to do with automation of processes, automation of your business to some extent. And so the leading one out there that's probably most popular that everybody knows about is going to be Zapier. And if we go back to the Power Platform, specifically Power Automate, aka Flow, Power Flow, maybe some of you know it as that. That's out there. That's become very, very popular. Also, before all of that, even this other one, IFTTT or IFTTT, it stands for if this, then that. It's actually something we're going to get into in this course in thinking along the lines of logic of how computers make decisions and how you program certain aspects. But again, you don't actually have to program it, but you need to just understand the concept around it so that you can use the low code, no code tool to pull off that function or the functionality of that. There's also something out there. This is fairly new. They're still in beta, or actually it just came out of beta. It's called WayScript. And this is good for certain automations, specifically if you want to write some hard coding. But anyway, it is out there. It's probably not low code, no code fully, because it straddles the area between low code, no code, and then high code in some examples, or actually you can. Bottom line is WayScript is really complicated, but also has ways of doing things very simplistically and easy, similar to low code, no code. Just depends on how far or how deep you get into it. Other ones that are out there is called KissFlow, Process Street, and then Decisions, which is a very expensive enterprise level platform. They're out there also, as well as Automated Solutions. And then so the final component or piece of this, which is within, I'd say, this year, 2021, that's really gone hyperbolic, is the term hyperautomation, or RPA, robotic process automation. You started hearing a lot about it in 2020, but it's really taking off in 2021. And so these are things like Power Automate Desktop. Specifically, this is now announced by Microsoft, Ignite 2021, that they're now giving away Power Automate Desktop for free to everybody that uses Windows 10. Then the connection between the desktop variant of this and the cloud-based variant of it does require a license to essentially trigger them from the cloud. But nonetheless, it is a free solution for Windows 10 baked into the operating system now, moving on forward. And if it's not part of yours portfolio or whatever, you can download that if you'd like. All right, and so some of the other ones out there that are very popular, been around for a long time, UiPath, Blue Prism, blah, blah, blah. I'm not going to read all the list to you. But for the most part, this is exactly it. And from this point forward, what we want to do is get into what you're going to be dealing with in this course. And so what we're going to talk about is this list of things that you need to understand. Now, there's the disclaimer here is that I'm not going to show you how to do these specifically as it relates to a specific platform, say Power Automate or Zapier or whatever. We may dip in and look at one or two of these platforms just to kind of give you some more context as to what it is. But the goal of this course, and the reason that it's free, is that I wanted to reach as many people as possible. I wanted them to see it because I really want everybody to embrace the low-code, no-code platform. And there's a lot of people out there that are afraid of it or scared of it or just simply don't know where to begin. So with that being said, we're going to cover things like data types. You may be saying, okay, what is a data type? Well, we're going to get into that. Variables, what are variables? We're talking about functions and how these work and how they're related. And if you've ever used a formula in Excel, the sum function, where you're going to add two cells together, the sum equals sum, cell name, plus, minus, whatever, the other cell name. So you have 5 in one and 5 in the other, and you use plus sum, which is basically sum 5 plus 5. The answer should be 10. And as a result of that, the sum is a function. And so we're going to talk about that. And then also we're going to talk about looping and iteration. Some of these things don't make sense right now, possibly for you, and if so, that's okay. We're going to get into each one of these very deep. Okay, and then we're going to talk about conditions and branching. You've probably run into this before if you've ever used surveys, a survey form system. Google Forms, I think, has it, and there's some logic that is available in certain other platforms out there. But basically, if the person answers a certain way of a question, that conditionally you'll show additional questions, or you'll take them along a different path. And it's essentially decision tree logic as well. So we're going to talk about that. Then we're going to talk about the concept of persistent data versus non-persistent data, or storage. And from there, we're going to talk about things like collections, arrays, and dictionary, and what those are. Now, you don't have to program these things, but these things exist in these low-code, no-code platforms. So you need to be familiar with the concepts of these so that you understand that the tools in the toolbox are accomplishing very specifically these things. And so knowing at least about these things, what they are, what they mean, what they stand for, then you'll know how to put the pieces of these puzzles together to create the solution that you're looking for to solve the business problem that you're trying to solve for. And then, of course, finally, we're going to talk about some advanced functionality. So that is it for this very long introduction video, but I wanted to cover as much as I could up front to hopefully whet your palate. If you see something interesting here, continue on to take the rest of the course. And then if you're not and you already know all of these things, then that's fine too. No harm, no foul, right? Anyway, thank you so much. Have a great day, and hopefully we'll see you in the course.